From the book of Rumi, 105 Stories and Fables. Mud Eaters. In the old times, there was a strange illness that had no apparent cause and no known cure, namely mud eating. People afflicted with this unfortunate condition could exercise no control over their behavior. Whenever they chanced upon even the smallest amount of mud, in whatever location, they couldn't stop themselves from scooping it into their mouths and swallowing it. Mud eaters, however, also had to eat other foods to survive, and sugar cubes happened to be the favorite treat of one such afflicted person. One day, this man entered a small grocery shop in his neighborhood and asked the shopkeeper for a quarter kilo of sugar cubes. The shopkeeper, who was an astute businessman and knew about his customer's predicament, showed him the weights he used on his scale, secretly trying to tempt him. "I use mud weights on my scale, just so you know. I'll be back in a jiffy," he said, inventing a reason to step out momentarily. "Give me a minute to fetch the whole sugar cone to chip your half kilo." He turned around and went into the storage room at the back of the shop, making sure to take his time. "This isn't simply mud," the mud eater began to fantasize. "To me, this is more beautiful than any flower, more delicious than the finest pastry." Delighted that the shopkeeper had left the room and hoping that he would take his time coming back, the mud eater eyed the weight delectably and snatched it in his fingers the moment he thought the other man couldn't see. He began to lick the clump of mud and nibble off small bites, savoring each one, no longer concerned about being caught in the act. He simply couldn't stop himself and no longer cared about risking his reputation. Meanwhile, the shopkeeper secretly watched his customer from behind a curtain. "You're such a fool, you think you're cheating me, while you're only stealing from yourself," the shopkeeper whispered silently to himself. "You're worried that I may reappear too quickly, before you've sated yourself, while I'm hoping that you eat your heart out. The more you eat, the less sugar I'll have to part with." Even though each man was cheating the other, neither was aware that in fact they were cheating themselves, by being dishonest to a brother for the mere love of material.